Okay guys, Brandon, like I promised, we're going to talk about why I believe that GM's service schedules on their engines and transmissions on the new Corvettes, and maybe even their other cars, I don't know because I don't own their other cars right now, I believe is a scheme. It's a scheme that General Motors is trying to use to escape warranties. They're trying to avoid warranties with this illogical procedure, and I'm going to jump into this. And I realize that everybody else, like Justin Horsepower Obsessed and Rick Conti, they all agree with this, that it's, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that makes total sense. If those guys genuinely think that it makes sense, that's egg on their face of how dumb they are, that they don't understand how vehicle servicing has worked for the last 100 years here in the United States, okay? Like, let's just get into this. So, let's just throw out a hypothetical. We'll start out with my first C8 Z06. In my first C8s, I like to replace the DCT filter early. So I like to do it at like 4,000 miles. And then I knew that since the first interval the GM demands on the DCT is 7,500, I knew I could do 7,500 on top of the 4,000. Because remember, I got a new filter in there now, okay? The transmission's already undergone 4,000 miles worth of polishing itself and putting debris into the filter. So the transmission is cleaner now at the 4,000 mark. So I put in a new DCT filter. We're at 4,000 miles, so you can add 7,500 onto the 4,000 miles, which takes you to 11,500, right? And that's when you do your next one. That's how things used to work here in the United States. That's how things used to work here on planet Earth. You take the service interval that's demanded, if you're still within that interval, and you tack that on to whatever you just did when you put in the new filter, okay? There's no fluid flush that's due yet, okay? We're only at 11,500 miles. So a new filter at 11,500, you should be good. General Motors, everybody from Josh Holder to, Keith Cornett, John Elegant, all these Corvette forum puppets, everybody, Conti, everybody has come forward, and General Motors in an official document press release has said that you have to hit the 7,500 mile DCT filter service on the dot, plus or minus 500 miles. And the way that they make it sound is they carry it over even to the oil change stuff. That you should practice the same concept with your oil changes. Okay, your engine oil changes. So what it means is, if you're a logical person, if you're going to change the DCT filter, let's say at 4 or 5 or 6,000 miles, you realize, well, shit, I got to do it again anyway at 7,500. So it deters a lot of people from doing it. Like, let's say you think that the GM service schedule is just like a little bit shy, and that, like me personally, I think, for me, I would like to change the DCT filter every 5,000 miles until I get to 10,000 miles. Okay, so I do it at 5 and 5. So now I'm past GM's 7,500 mark. Now GM says you can wait, 75 times 2, which is 15,000. Now GM says you can wait 15,000 between, okay? At that point, I would start doing them every 10,000. So my schedule will go like this. I would change my engine oil and my DCT filter and engine filter at 5,000 miles. I would change at least. I would do it again at the next 5,000 miles, which is a total of 10,000 miles, both transmission filter and engine oil and filter. Then at 15,000 miles, I would change my engine oil and engine filter, and I would change the DCT filter at the 20,000 mile mark when I do the engine oil and engine filter again. That's how I would do it. I would do everything every 5,000 miles, and I would do the transmission filter every other oil change. You see? And I would still replace the transmission fluid by the time GM says it needs to be replaced. If not sooner, if I do a track day or whatever it is, okay? GM will void your warranty according to their documents, which is fucking illegal, guys. It is fucking illegal for them to void a warranty on a car if you were to do what I just said. But they say they're going to void your warranty. So rather than get sideways with GM on the ticking motor car and have that as an excuse why they're not gonna, why it's not gonna be lemon law eligible, I do it their way. And see, the shitty thing about doing it their way is they know this in the back of their mind. For you to sneak in an extra oil change, it means you have to do it you have to do 2 oil changes every 7,500 miles. You have to do 2 DCT filters every 7,500 miles. Or you have to do 2 DCT filters every 15,000 miles once you get past the 7,500 mile mark. Now you got to do them 2 every 15,000. So it becomes somewhat excessive. It's more excessive than what I would even want to do. So that discourages people from doing it, because where you're like, I'm just throwing away money, this shit's expensive, blah, 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 blah. And don't worry on the expensive part, guys, because we have big solutions coming. But the point is this. You say to yourself, this is expensive, this is crazy. You know, as long as I do it when GM tells me to do it, I got a warranty on the car, hint, hint. And so we'll just do it their way, this plus or minus 500 miles to the 7,500 mile marks for the oil changes and the DCT filters and so on and so forth, right? So what GM is forcing you to do now, they're not forcing you, but they're highly motivating you to follow their flawed schedule, okay? Instead of change it a little bit early at the 6,000 or 5,000 or 4,000 mark, you're like, fine, whatever, I'll do it every 7,500 and we'll see what happens, okay? So, obviously, if you do the in-betweens, you're not going to do them at a Chevrolet store probably, because you're going to try to save some money, okay? So now, if coincidentally all the documents that are in your glove box magically fucking disappear, because it seems that there's a bit of a conspiracy going on between dealers to try to make your life hell, because them and GM are all kind of working together, and they're refusing you service, and all of a sudden all the service tickets in your glove box vanish. If you don't have those service tickets somewhere else, it can become quite the chore to track all these service tickets down if you can't remember all the dealerships that you got your car serviced at, okay? And and you don't have all the receipts of all your quote unquote oil changes of where you just changed it yourself. But in my hypothetical scenario, you definitely want to change your oil every 7,500 miles at the GM stores, because shit like this can happen. Your receipts can go missing. Okay? They can magically vanish from your fucking glove box while the cars are in the dealerships, and your oil change life monitor can magically reset itself even when the dealerships aren't resetting your oil, aren't changing your oil. They'll reset your oil life monitor. Ask me how I know. I'm not gonna say which dealer, but I'm just saying this shit has happened, guys. All to me in the last couple months, okay? My car's been in the service all summer, and all of a sudden all my shit vanishes and my oil life's reset when it shouldn't be. I mean, it could be the biggest coincidence in the world, or we can say that people are trying to fuck with me right now. So, regardless, the good news is, on my personal situation, I did the General Motors plus or minus 500 miles to the 7,500 mile marks to the T. Okay? So I've done it GM's way. Was GM's way the optimal way? No. Is GM's way going to result in more engine failures once the cars are out of warranty? Yes. Okay? Because you're changing your oil every 7,500 miles, you're changing your DCT filter every 7,500 miles instead of every 4 or 5 or 6,000 miles. That last 1,500 above the 6,000 mile mark, that's a big deal, guys. It really is, because by then your DCT filter is pretty well clogged up. Even if, okay, I'm not going to get into it, but the point is, GM knows what they're doing. They've told us that we're not allowed to change it early and just tack on the minimum interval back on top of that early oil change. Someone needs to challenge them in court. That person's probably going to have to go all the way to the Supreme Court, because GM's probably going to do everything in their power to make sure that a local judge, whatever local town it is, rules in GM's favor. Okay? We don't live in a straight society, guys, where everything's smooth and square and whatever. There's shit that goes on. So, thankfully, with this ticking motor car, I've done everything by the book, and thankfully I'm able to track down all my ROs. So it's going to be interesting to see what General Motors does with this now, because I've done everything the way they say to do it. And I've never had my car on a racetrack. Therefore, I followed the street procedures. Now, where they really get you is on these Corvettes in the beginning of Z06 world, Z06 C8 lifetime, us people with the first 2023s, the dealerships didn't even have the freaking proper oil for the car. The car got released before the oil was on the market. There was only non-Dexos oil 5W50. There was no Mobil 1 Dexos 5W50, okay? So GM made an exemption there in the beginning. They said, if you can't find it, whatever. So there would be times, guys, when I would call dealers when I'm traveling, like I'm traveling right now, and I'd be calling dealers trying to line up my service, and I got life emergencies going on where I got to go from point A to point B. And the dealers don't even have the oil, let alone the Z06 oil filter. Imagine Porsche and Ferrari and everybody not having the oil for their cars. I mean, I can understand if you got a $2 million, one of the rare cars. But imagine if Porsche didn't have oil at the Porsche dealerships for the base Carreras. And base Carreras are just about as rare as Z06s, guys. Probably more rare. So think about what a fumble that is on General Motors' behalf of they release a car and the oil isn't even available yet. And the oil filters are on back order sometimes, because they were. So I just want to kind of go through all that, guys. What a chore it was for me to get my oil changed in their little window. Because understand, like let's say I know I'm going to go on a big road trip. Instead of me being able to go out and change my oil 6,000 miles the week before the big road trip, no, that's going to void your warranty if you do that, if you change your DCT filter. And so I'd have to be like psychic to know where I'm going to be when I'm dealing with super life dramas. Like for instance, my first C8 Z06 got wrecked. And I had to go to Florida, I had to go to South Carolina, I had to come back up to Ohio, I had to go to Virginia. I was between states that are thousands of miles collectively apart. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow. I'm trying to, and then I still got life to live and money to make and things to do, chores, life tasks, family duties, friends, obligations. I don't know where I'm going to be. And you as a Corvette owner have to have a freaking crystal ball instead of go out and change your oil at 5,000 or 6,000 miles and say, I'm good. No, Josh Holder has sat there and re-emphasized, it will void your warranty if you don't get it changed at 7,500 miles plus or minus 500. And all the other GM engineers who I don't even want to know their names. You know what I'm saying? These guys, and I realize it's not their fault. They're obeying corporate worms. But the point is, they're on the shitty team, guys. They're giving them these shitty rules that don't make sense. Instead of me being able to change my oil at 5,000 miles or 6,000 miles and not live in stress, and then change it again next time 5,000 or 6,000 miles later, GM has made it clear that their current stance is they are going to void your warranty. They're going to void your DCT warranty if you change the filters early at 5,000 or 6,000 miles and do it again at 5,000 or 6,000 miles later. They're going to void your warranty because you're missing the 7,500 mile plus or minus number on the dot. You're missing that number. They're going to void your warranty. So somebody's got to take them to court because it's not going to stand in court. The courtroom's going to say, there's nothing magical about the 7,500 mile mark, Josh Holder, you mindless piece of shit. Mark Royce, Mary Barra, there's nothing magical about the 7,500 mile mark where all of a sudden your transmission takes this big whale shit of debris. No, your transmission loses debris at a gradual pace within reason from 0 to 6,000 miles. If you take that filter out and you put a new filter in, your transmission isn't going to magically take a big gigantic dump of debris at the 7,500 mile mark. And if you don't change your filter at 7,500 miles your transmission isn't gonna blow up. You see what I'm saying? It's all bullshit. It is bullshit lies, Josh Holder. You're a fucking liar and you fucking know it. You're not this fucking stupid. I do think you're fucking retarded, but you're not this fucking stupid. You know it. Okay? I sure as fuck hope not. Otherwise, get him the fuck off Team Corvette. So the point is, and I've already asked for that numerous times, he's a good materials guy. He knows how to make things out of special materials and what materials do what. That's his job. He does not need to be in Tadge's position, okay? And anywhere close to it, okay? Tony Roma, any of these guys, if you guys don't understand how filters work and that at the 12,000 mile mark, it's fine to change your DCT filter again. If you change it to 6,000, and that should not void your warranty, you're changing the filter early. My filters will be cleaner if I do that than if I waited to 7,500 miles to change it the first time and wait to 22.5 to change it the second. If I do it at 6,000 and 12,000, there is no fucking way that should void a fucking warranty. That is the dumbest shit known to man, and yet that is General Motors' policy, and it is a policy implemented to try to scare us, the Corvette community, into not changing our filters early because we say, what's the point? I'm just gonna have to do it again during my road trip. If I change it at 6,000 miles, I'm just gonna have to do it again. It's 7,500. This is stupid. And it is, it's stupid. So because of that, it puts customers in a bind where if they're on a road trip during their 7,500 mile or 15,000 mile road trip, whatever it is, 15,000 mile mark road trip, if they're on a road trip for thousands of miles during those, 1,000 miles, hundreds of miles during those situations, we, the consumers, run into situations where the dealerships are not equipped to service our cars. They don't have the filters, they don't have the oil. Oh, we could have that as soon as Monday for you. Okay, well, today's Friday, and I need my oil changed today. And I didn't know I was going to be in this state because I just had a family emergency, and my family's important to me, and I'm going to drive over here, or a friend emergency, and I'm going to drive to see my friends, whatever it is. I'm a good guy. I'm going to go save the day and help my friends out, or I'm obligated to go do something with my car and my other car that hit a bear. Okay, it went through a guardrail. I'm obligated to go do something right now to make my insurance company happy, and I got to go do something that's pretty important. I got to go meet an adjuster. Okay, I don't have to be there, but if I'm not there, then it can be used against me if I'm not there. Okay, to direct the meeting, make sure the meeting goes well. The point is, we don't have a crystal ball to know where we're going to fucking be to call the dealerships in advance and say, hey, make sure you got a Z06 oil filter and oil for me. That way we're good to go when I get there. Now, granted, things are better now because we're in the year 2025, coming into the year 2026. So there's more dealers who are more well equipped with this impossible to achieve oil once upon a time and impossible to achieve oil filters, which were on fucking back order. How are we supposed to... I'm not going to drive today because the filters are on back order. Sorry, family, I'm stuck. I've got a $150,000 Corvette. So the point is, the whole thing is a scheme to try to make it inconvenient for us to where we don't meet our deadlines that are imposed by General Motors. Never mind, I haven't even mentioned the fact that, let's say you have to be somewhere and it's an emergency, is that 1,000 miles away, and now you got to soak up your day with a fucking oil change at the Chevrolet store, assuming you can even find the shit, when you got an emergency and you're trying to be from point A to point B, which is why you normally change your oil early at 5,000 miles or 4,000 miles. That way it's changed early and you're good to go. Do you guys understand that if you change your oil early at, let's say, 3,000 miles, and you don't change the next one until 5,500 miles from that point, so you change your DCT filter and your oil at 3,000 miles, and you don't change your next one until 5,500 miles later, you are at 8,500 miles. And GM says that since you did not change your DCT filter in the 7,500 mile window, plus or minus 500, which takes you back to 7,000 or up to 8,000, if you don't get your DCT filter changed in that window, they're going to void your warranty on your DCT. If anything ever fails later, they're going to void your warranty. And the crazy thing is, it's not even you necessarily. You go out and buy a used Z06, and then this shit exists. So the whole thing is a scheme to void warranties on cars on bad faith terms that don't make sense. Back here in reality of how filters work. And you sit there and you get adjusted, a horsepower obsessed, and brink of speed.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Break a speed mark. Yeah, that makes total good sense. Yeah.
That makes total good sense, doesn't it, George? Justin Horsepower obsessed. Yeah, Justin Horsepower obsessed says that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Conti.
Yeah, guys, that makes total sense, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
What's the guy's name? Conti and Chuck.
Yeah, that makes total sense, Conti. Yeah, that makes total sense, Chuck. We've been on planet Earth for over 50, 60 fucking years, and we don't know how fucking filters work.
That makes total sense, doesn't it, Josh Holder? No, it doesn't. It's a scheme, and somebody needs to challenge it in the courtroom. And whoever challenges it first, I highly suggest you put together a GoFundMe and you tell the Corvette community to help you out, and I'll throw you some money for your court case to help you through litigation. Because this is bullshit. And it might just be me who has to challenge it first, guys. I'm not saying I'm challenging it currently or anything like that, but I'm saying if GM even dares fuck with me on this, that me following their stupid schedule isn't adequate, rest assured, I'll take this shit to the fucking Supreme Court if I have to, Mark Royce. I am so sick of you guys' bullshit.
I'm so sick of Josh Holder. Listen to us tell you how filters work.
No, Josh Holder, how about you go fucking back to grade school where you fucking belong? And I realize it's not your fault. I realize you're a team player and it's the corporate worms telling you what to do. But come on, guys, this is bullshit. This video needs to be shared across every fucking forum and everybody knows I'm right. This is not rocket science. See ya.